They weren't just criminals. They were visionaries, masters of timing, manipulation, and logistics. Men who didn't just take money, they took control of entire cities for a day. From Brazil to Belgium, Germany to Argentina, they wrote their names in history not with bullets, but with blueprints. Imagine robbing a bank in broad daylight with no masks, no weapons fired, and no trace left behind. Or digging beneath a financial fortress for months, completely unnoticed, and emerging with millions. These stories aren't the stuff of movies. They are terrifyingly real. This is not just a tale of theft. It's a story about obsession, ambition, and the fragile line between genius and criminality. Welcome to the world of the boldest bank robbers of all time. There's something undeniably captivating about a well-executed heist. It's the ultimate power play, one that defies systems, mocks authority, and turns criminals into temporary legends. For a moment, they make the impossible seem effortless. Why do we watch? Because we admire the audacity, the precision, the game. But every plan, no matter how perfect, carries one fatal flaw: time. It doesn't matter how well you hide or how cleanly you escape. Time has a way of peeling back the layers. And when justice catches up, the fall is as legendary as the crime. It was just another Monday morning in Fortaleza, Brazil. At the central bank, employees went through their usual motions: badges scanned, vaults opened, and security protocols checked. But something was off. When they opened one of the main vaults, what they found made blood drain from their faces. Piles of banknotes, gone. Nearly 43 million euros worth. And at the center of the vault, a gaping hole in the floor. It wasn't just a theft. It was a surgical operation. No broken doors.
No triggered alarms.
No signs of forced entry from the outside. The criminals had come from underneath. The vault, designed to be impenetrable, had been defeated by silence and patience. The robbery would become one of the largest in history, and it started with a hole no one saw coming. Lead investigator Antonio dos Santos arrived on the scene within hours. He stood at the edge of the hole, staring down into darkness. It wasn't random. This was methodical, and it was masterful. The tunnel stretched over 100 meters, snaking from the bank to a small house in a quiet residential neighborhood. That house, investigators discovered, had been rented months earlier by a fake landscaping business. The perfect cover. Neighbors never suspected a thing. The men came and went like clockwork, always in work clothes, always polite. What no one knew was that beneath that house, they were digging. Every day. For 3 straight months. The soil was packed into bags labeled organic waste and driven off. They reinforced the tunnel with wooden beams and even installed lighting and air systems. At one point, they tunneled beneath an entire avenue, without causing a single crack in the road. It was a masterclass in engineering. A criminal miracle. Dos Santos had a hunch. This wasn't just a rogue crew. It bore the signature of the PCC, Brazil's most powerful and violent criminal syndicate. The Primeiro Comando da Capital wasn't new to organized crime. They controlled drug routes, weapons, and prisons. But this was another level. The heist involved months of planning, access to heavy machinery, safe house logistics, and, above all, discipline. The kind of discipline only a cartel-level organization could enforce. To Dos Santos, this wasn't just a robbery. It was a declaration. The investigation moved fast. Forensics swarmed the vault and tunnel. They collected everything: cigarette butts, boot prints, snack wrappers, even strands of hair. But the real break came at the airport. Security flagged a group of men attempting to board a flight. They carried no luggage, just wads of unmarked 50 real notes. The same denomination was stolen from the central bank. Their faces matched surveillance photos. They were known affiliates of organized crime. 2 names surfaced as ringleaders. Antonio Josevan Alves dos Reis, nicknamed the German, is a career criminal with a knack for planning and escape. Moises Teixeira da Silva, known as the Big Mole, was a former convict who had once escaped prison through a tunnel he dug himself. If anyone knew how to disappear underground, it was him. Dos Santos resisted the urge to arrest everyone immediately. Instead, he played the long game. He put suspects under 24-hour surveillance, tapped phones, monitored bank accounts, watched wives, cousins, and girlfriends. The PCC operated on fear and loyalty. No one talked. But they made mistakes. One by one, operatives slipped up. A phone call made in haste. A cash transaction too large. A vehicle registered under a fake name but tied to a known associate. Each clue led to another. 5 suspects were arrested within a week. Then 3 more. But the masterminds remained ghosts. Then came the break. A discarded SIM card, found near one of the safe houses, provided call logs that led to a wider network. And then, a call to a girlfriend. Traced. Monitored. It led agents to a bar in a small city. There, the German was spotted, identified by a distinctive tattoo. He was arrested without resistance. But the big mole proved harder. Nearly a year passed before agents tracked a signal to a luxury apartment in Sao Paulo. He'd been hiding in plain sight, living lavishly. A knock on the door. A raid. And just like that, he was caught. No gunfire, no chaos. The German was sentenced to 50 years. The big mole got 25. Dos Santos later said, "A part of me is still in that tunnel. It's the part that can't believe they almost got away with it." And maybe they did. Because to this day, over 2/3 of the stolen money is still missing. In February 2003, Antwerp's Diamond Center, the most secure diamond trading hub in the world, woke to chaos. An entire vault, emptied. Over $100 million worth of diamonds, gold, and jewelry, gone.
No alarms.
No guards were harmed. No glass broken. Authorities were dumbfounded. The vault was considered impenetrable. A multi-layered defense system of infrared sensors, magnetic locks, and motion detectors guarded the loot. But the thieves, they bypassed everything. Cleanly. The news sent shockwaves through the industry. Insurance firms panicked. Traders demanded answers. And Antwerp's security reputation was shattered overnight. Investigators combed the vault. They found almost nothing. The locks weren't picked, they were bypassed. The sensors weren't tripped, they were disabled. Inside the building, they discovered evidence of insider access. Someone had used a key. Someone knew the codes. Someone had studied every angle of the system for months. That someone was a man named Leonardo Notarbartolo. He posed as a diamond merchant. Charismatic. Italian. Respected. He rented an office in the Diamond Center 2 years before the heist. 2 years. Just to earn trust. He wore suits. Attended trade shows. Made deals. Nothing about him screamed criminal. And that was the point. The first real lead came from an unexpected place, a forest outside Antwerp. A local farmer called police to report bags of trash dumped illegally. Inside, diamond wrappers, drill bits, latex gloves, cut-up blueprints, and a half-eaten sandwich. Forensics found a single DNA sample on the sandwich. It matched Notarbartolo. This accidental discovery lit a fire under investigators. They rushed to trace any possible route connecting the trash to the vault. Leonardo wasn't working alone. He led a crew of skilled specialists known as the School of Turin. If you are enjoying the story, kindly like this video and subscribe for more interesting stories. A locksmith nicknamed Speedy who could copy any key with perfect precision. A tech expert who neutralized security systems and looped surveillance feeds. An acrobat to climb into vents and tight spaces, navigating with gymnastic finesse. And Leonardo, the charming strategist and frontman. Each member played a crucial role. The coordination was military grade. Their motto, practice until perfect becomes easy. The key breakthrough? Leonardo installed a hidden camera inside a hallway light fixture outside the vault. It recorded the combination to the vault as guards entered it over several weeks. The team then built a full-scale replica vault in Italy. There, they rehearsed the break-in dozens of times. On the night of the heist, they entered using copied keys. sprayed hairspray on thermal sensors to block detection, blocked motion detectors with styrofoam panels, reprogrammed magnetic locks and jammed their signals. It took over 12 hours, but they moved with calm, surgical precision. When they walked out, the vault door closed behind them, as if nothing happened. Leonardo might have escaped clean, but greed, or perhaps overconfidence, betrayed him. He returned to Belgium months later. Customs flagged him. His rental car matched one seen near the heist site. Inside the vehicle, police found diamond dust on the seat cushions, blueprints with vault schematics, receipts linking him to security equipment. That was all they needed. Leonardo was arrested, tried, and sentenced to 10 years. The trial captivated Europe. But to this day, he claims the heist wasn't his idea. That he was just the front, not the mind. The rest of the crew vanished. Most of the diamonds never recovered. Leonardo served his sentence in silence. He never gave up names, never revealed where the treasure went. Authorities believe the loot was smuggled through black markets in Asia and the Middle East. Despite high-end surveillance, multi-million-dollar security systems, and layers of physical protection, it took just one man with a fake name, a steady hand, and a team of patient professionals to pull off the perfect crime. All it took to unravel it was a sandwich in a forest. On January 27, 1995, what began as a mundane winter morning in Berlin took a sudden, terrifying turn. At precisely 9:30 a.m., two masked men stormed into the Deutsche Bank branch in the Zehlendorf district. Wielding handguns and what appeared to be explosives, they shouted for everyone to the ground. Within minutes, 16 people, bank staff and customers, were herded into a back room. The front doors were locked. The stage was set. They didn't rush. They didn't fumble. They acted with unnerving calm. A message was sent to the police: bring us 17 million Deutsche Marks, a vehicle, and safe passage to the nearest airport, or we start executing hostages. Outside, sirens blared. Police barricaded the area. Reporters swarmed the scene. All of Berlin held its breath. Lead negotiator Hans Mertens had been in standoffs before, but this one felt off. The robbers spoke clearly, with no emotion. They were unhurried. Every sentence was measured. They asked about fuel. They asked about radio frequencies. But not once did they demand access to the vault. That puzzled Mertens. Why stage a robbery without touching the money? Still, protocol took priority. Over the next 48 hours, food and water were delivered. Hostages gave proof of life. Tensions mounted. The robbers allowed no direct entry. They kept police guessing. Eventually, the robbers accepted the car. 4 hostages were forced into the vehicle with them. A slow, nerve-wracking journey began. But what no one realized was this: while Berlin chased a car, the real crime was already complete. As the car disappeared into the city, police tracked every turn. Then it stopped, inside a traffic tunnel beneath a highway overpass. Within seconds, the rear doors burst open. The hostages stumbled out, dazed but unharmed. The robbers? Gone. Inside the vehicle, 2 masks, a pile of discarded clothing, and several props, replica firearms and imitation bombs. The explosives had been fake all along. How had they vanished? Had they changed clothes mid-drive? Disappeared into a secret passage? Berlin's most experienced officers were baffled. But the answer lay not in the streets but beneath them. Days later, investigators followed a suspicious lead from a local utility crew. At a construction site 2 blocks from the bank, they discovered something stunning: a narrow tunnel, expertly reinforced and stretching beneath the street. Its entrance, a fake utility shed. Its endpoint, directly beneath the bank. While the 2 robbers were orchestrating a hostage crisis, another team had broken into the vault below. They worked quietly, methodically, shielded by the chaos outside. They walked away with over 13 million Deutsche Marks. The operation had layers of deception. Latex masks and padded clothing disguised heights and body shapes. Voice modulators altered tones. The walkie-talkies were rigged to occasionally jam, creating the illusion of panic or malfunction. To further mislead investigators, they planted false fingerprints and staged DNA traces using hairs from anonymous sources. Even their escape from the car was timed perfectly, vanishing through a maintenance shaft connected to the tunnel's end. This wasn't a robbery. It was a military-grade illusion. What followed was the largest manhunt in Berlin since the Cold War. Interpol alerts, facial reconstructions, border alerts, undercover operations in surrounding countries. Nothing. The robbers had vanished into the shadows, leaving no digital trace, no bank transactions, and no identifiable communication patterns. The money was never laundered locally. Not a cent showed up in circulation. Some believe the funds were moved via diplomatic channels. Others think the entire crew fled to Eastern Europe with forged identities. Either way, the silence was deafening. This heist did more than embarrass German law enforcement. It exposed a new kind of criminal strategy. No violence.
No casualties.
No forensic trail. They had used media and public fear as camouflage, weaponizing attention to hide the real act. Police departments across Europe updated training. Tunnel inspections became standard. Crisis negotiation strategies were restructured. But the lesson lingered. Sometimes, the most dangerous criminals aren't the ones with guns. They're the ones with blueprints. To this day, the Berlin hostage heist remains unsolved. Not a single arrest. Not a single euro was recovered. January 13, 2006.
Buenos Aires.
It was a sunny Friday morning in the affluent suburb of Acasuso. At around 12:30 p.m., 5 armed men walked into the Banco Rio branch with surgical precision. Calm, coordinated, and dressed like any ordinary civilians, they didn't raise alarm until the doors slammed shut and guns were drawn. What looked like another chaotic smash and grab turned out to be the beginning of one of Argentina's most theatrical crimes. The robbers brandished weapons, fired shots in the air, and shouted for everyone to get down. Customers screamed, and staff scrambled. Within seconds, 23 people were forced to the ground and taken hostage. As police raced to the scene, the robbers issued their message loud and clear. "We're in no hurry. We'll wait as long as it takes." This wasn't just a robbery, it was a performance. The police response was immediate. Tactical squads surrounded the building. Snipers found their nests. Communication with the robbers began. And then, the robbers ordered pizza. They asked for water, soda, and music. They cracked jokes. Played with the hostages. A man in a grey suit, later revealed as the ringleader, danced to the rhythm of a small radio. Some hostages, oddly enough, weren't terrified. One later said, "It felt like we were extras in a play." The negotiators were puzzled. The criminals made no mention of the vault. Pause for a second to like and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's continue. They didn't demand transportation. They just stalled. But beneath the staged calm above, something far more elaborate was happening below. For 5 months, Fernando Araujo and his team had been secretly digging a tunnel from a storm drain beneath the city to the basement of the bank. It was reinforced with wood and concrete and included ventilation and lighting. While the police were distracted by the drama upstairs, the real work was unfolding below. One by one, over 100 safety deposit boxes were cracked open. Gold, cash, diamonds, confidential documents, they took everything. Each bag was quietly lowered into the tunnel and carried out of the bank. No sound. No attention.
No witnesses.
At 7 p.m., convinced the standoff was reaching a boiling point, police stormed the bank with full force. What they found shocked them. The hostages were safe, if confused. The weapons? Plastic. The robbers? Gone. The only clue? A hatch in the vault floor, slightly ajar. Following it led them to the tunnel, a perfect underground route straight to a nearby storm drain, which exited near the River Plate. By the time police arrived, the criminals were long gone. For weeks, the case hit a dead end. The robbers had vanished without a trace. Until love got in the way. A woman, furious after being dumped by her partner, one of the thieves, walked into a precinct and spilled everything: who was involved, where they met, how they dug, and what they stole. This betrayal led to a series of arrests. 4 of the 5 men were captured. Authorities recovered about half the loot. The mastermind, or Araujo, was the last to fall. When questioned, he delivered the now famous quote, "It wasn't a robbery, it was an artistic expression." The Banco Rio robbery remains Argentina's most infamous heist. No shots were fired inside the bank. No one was injured. Hostages were treated well. It was so well planned and so expertly executed that it became a national obsession. Even the media couldn't help but admire the elegance. What undid them wasn't a flaw in the plan, but the most human vulnerability of all: heartbreak. What connects these heists? Tunnels, disguises, timing, but most of all, discipline. These weren't spur-of-the-moment smash and grabs. These were surgical strikes, engineered with months, sometimes years, of research, surveillance, and practice. Every move was choreographed. Every risk was weighed. In Brazil, the Fortaleza gang created a false business front, lured no suspicion, and tunneled beneath a bank without a sound. In Belgium, Leonardo Nota Bartolo disabled one of the world's most secure vaults without even triggering an alarm. In Berlin, robbers used the police themselves as unwitting pawns. And in Argentina, a hostage drama became a perfect distraction for a subterranean escape. They weren't committing crimes, they were executing blueprints of brilliance. And in each case, the world watched in disbelief. Every heist had a mind at its center, a calculating, relentless mind. These weren't people looking for fast cash. They were strategists, architects of chaos. Fernando Araujo, the man behind the Argentine heist, trained himself in engineering and martial arts. He spent nights mapping sewage systems and planning routes by flashlight. In Belgium, Nota Bartolo studied the habits of diamond merchants and security guards, anticipating their routines like a chess grandmaster. The Fortaleza crew, meanwhile, created blue-collar disguises and worked in shifts, like miners in a corporate job. What unified these masterminds wasn't just intelligence, it was obsession. They thought in escape routes. They dreamed in vaults. They lived in silence until it was time to strike. But perfection is a myth. The cracks always show. In Brazil, a single smudge, a fingerprint on a water bottle, led to the unraveling of the entire crew. In Antwerp, an uneaten sandwich left DNA. In Berlin, trauma turned witnesses into tools of investigation. And in Argentina, it wasn't a mistake that ended the dream, but something far messier: betrayal from a jealous lover. These were masterminds, yes, but they were also human. And humans feel. They fall in love. They get careless. They grow overconfident. It's never the plan that fails. It's always the people behind it. Years later, the tales still echo. The media turned them into legends. Movies were made. Books were written. Police departments across the world use their tactics as teaching tools. Some of these criminals are now free. Others are still behind bars. But none walked away untouched. Their lives became case studies. Their brilliance is documented and dissected. What's the lesson? Audacity wins headlines. But it doesn't guarantee freedom. Even the smartest criminals leave footprints, in pixels, in memories, and in emotions. Why do we watch these stories? Because they tease something primal in us. The thrill of rebellion. The allure of control. The fantasy of breaking the rules and walking away clean. But reality always closes the loop. The tunnel ends. The vault gets cracked, but so does the facade. Security catches up. Justice breathes down your neck. And in the end, the question isn't just how they did it. It's why they thought they could get away with it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world's most daring heists, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's more to uncover. And sometimes, the truth is stranger and bolder than fiction.